Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck here, ladies and gentlemen. Today, Simon Feck here, ladies and gentlemen. Today we got trouble, ladies and gentlemen. Today, Simon Feck here, ladies. So many of you didn't know how to turn off the sound, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, an exclusive. Ladies and gentlemen, the only journalist covering Dricus Duplessis and Vasti Spiller wedding, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. The only journalist covering Dricus Duplessis, ladies and gentlemen, and Vasti Spiller wedding, ladies and gentlemen, in Johannesburg, South Africa, ladies and gentlemen. The MMA guru's not covering it. The MMA holes are not covering it, ladies and gentlemen. MMA Joey's not covering it. Nobody's covering it. You know why? Because they don't know about it, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck went to Dricus Duplessis' bachelor party, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Dricus Duplessis getting married today on Valentine's Day, ladies and gentlemen. Exclusive coverage right here from Simon Feck, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck, 1 foot cock, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Giuliani Argentini was asking Simon Feck to come on a show a little while back. And Simon Feck said, no, I'm going out of the country. And then Giuliani asked Simon Feck, hey, where are you going, Feck? And I said, Mexico, ladies and gentlemen. I went to Bangkok, ladies and gentlemen. Dricus Duplessis bachelor party, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. You haven't heard anybody say anything about Dricus Duplessis' wedding, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow it's going to be all over the news, ladies and gentlemen. And Simon Feck is going to bring you live coverage. Live coverage of the Dricus Duplessis Vasti Spiller wedding, ladies and gentlemen. But unfortunately, Vasti, she got injured, ladies and gentlemen. Now, she's not a fighter, ladies and gentlemen. She got injured on her bachelorette party, ladies and gentlemen. She's got a back spasm. So they got needed drama to step in, ladies and gentlemen. At the rehearsal, we got some rehearsal footage of Dricus Duplessis and Nita Drama stepping in for Vasti, ladies and gentlemen. Here they are. Here's the pictures, ladies and gentlemen. Dricus Duplessis marrying Nita Drama, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, right there. Exclusive pictures of the Dricus Duplessis Vasti Spiller wedding, ladies and gentlemen. You seen it right here. There's Dricus Duplessis and a girl that looks a lot like Nita Drama, ladies and gentlemen. She had to step in for Vasti Spiller, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck on the exclusive. Dricus Duplessis Valentine's Day wedding, ladies and gentlemen, to Vasti Spiller, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Only Simon Feck is covering the Dricus Duplessis wedding, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, the Dricus Duplessis wedding has had a rain delay, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. So we're going to have to check back again. In about 6 hours, ladies and gentlemen, we got a live feed Remember, Simon Feck went to the bachelor party, ladies and gentlemen. Dricus has been a good friend of mine for years, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We'll be back with live coverage of the Dricus du Plessis Vasily Spieler wedding, ladies and gentlemen. That's right.